Hey, good morning. Had a great weekend. Glad you guys are back. Pull up a chair and let's go down story time lane, for lack of a better term. So, pull up a chair. Well, as you go through your law enforcement career, you are going to bump into different types of people, all different colors, all different nationalities, and male or female. You're going to run into one of these people from that people I've mentioned before, inevitably. Had a probably the first time that I really had a legitimate encounter with somebody where treating them as a normal person usually comes out on the good end. And fortunately for me, this is one of those times. I've always kept a clear head and I've always made sure that I treat people like people. So we get sent to a call of a rather large fight going on at one of the local establishments down in Waukesha. And when you come into the lot, it's going. I hop out and there is a subject that is on top of my sergeant, and I come through, and it was just like a awesome open field hit. I hit him, took him to the ground, a couple knee strikes, and then Sarge was on top of me, and we were able to get the guy in the cuffs. So we were taking him for resisting arrest and because he was on probation and disorderly conduct. So I get him. It's in the back of my squad, and I've got his information up on my screen. I'm looking through it. I'm like, check it out. He's out of Milwaukee County, and he's out on bail for attempted murder. So I just kind of scrolling through his background, and I hear this voice from the back of my squad. He says, "So what do you think?" And I'm like, "What do I think about what?" He goes, "Well, I can see your name, or I can see my information up on your screen." And he says, "I can see you're reading about me." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Is there something that you want to tell me?" Or he's like, "No, no." He goes, "I was just making small talk." I said, "All right." I said, "So here's what's going to happen." I said, "Because you're on probation or out on bond from Milwaukee County, they've placed a hold on you, and I'm going to end up taking you down to my department. We'll run you through booking, and then depending on how busy we are tonight, either I or somebody else will take you over to Waukesha County Jail for Milwaukee County to pick you up. I don't know how long it's going to be. So once you get over to Waukesha County, that's entirely up to Milwaukee County when they're going to come pick you up." He says, "Okay, cool." So I go through, do all the booking information, check with my sergeant, come back in, and I said, "All right. So, is there any questions?" And he says, "No. It just happens that this man happens to be African American." And as it comes through, I said, "Okay, well, good luck to you." And he says, "All right, thanks, officer." And then I get up and I walk out of the booking room. He's like, "Hey, officer." And I'm like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Thank you." I said, "For what?" And he said, "For treating me like a human being." He said, "If this was Milwaukee County," he goes, "I'd have gotten the shit kicked out of me." And he says, "I just want to thank you for treating me like a human being." And I said, "I've never thought of you as anything but a human being." I said, "I know you got a lot on your plate right now. So good luck to you. All right. And I hope everything works out for you." I don't know what happened to that gentleman, whether he was convicted or if he made it to jail or if he's made it this far in life. Um, that goes to show you that, treating people the way that they're supposed to be treated as people and as human beings and as individuals really helps you get through a lot because you can treat people like crap. And when shit starts to go sideways on you, those people will remember that you treated them like crap. And help may not be forthcoming on there. So I was very fortunate in the way that I was treating him. But I've treated him like I would treat anybody else as a police officer, anybody who had my back seat, anybody who I was talking to, interrogating, questioning, or even just making a contact for. Um, I I've always prided myself in that. So now that was one of the first encounters. Now another encounter that I had. I got to figure this one out. Oh no. Okay, so this is the one. It's we're on day shift, and my buddy, who happened to be the registration lamp officer calls out with a traffic stop, and I just happen to be in the area. He runs the guy, comes back with a warrant. I'm like, all right, 025, you can put me out in the area with him, or put me out with the officer that I'm with. And so we I pop out, and there's a bit of an argument going on. He's like, "What are you stopping me for? This and that." And he's like, and my buddy is just maintaining just an even flow. You would think he's Hannibal Lecter because his heartbeat's not getting up over 68 beats per minute, even though this guy's getting kind of a little irritated with him and the fact that he's got a warrant that he knows that he has, and he's going to jail. So I start walking up, and next thing you know, he starts yelling, "You're driving. You're the only reason you're pulling me over is for DWB." And I walk up, and I'm like, "All right, Nate, what's going on?" He's like, "Well," he says, "he's got a warrant out for arrest, and he says he was speeding. He was doing like 40 something in a 25 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour school zone. So my buddy was rightful to pull him over. So." He's, "Oh, it's bullshit, man. You're just pulling me over for DWB." And I look at him and I go, "What's DWB?" And he was like, had this like incredulous look. He's like, "Fucking driving while black, motherfucker." And I go, "Oh, driving while black. Driving while black. Man." I said, "Nate," I said, "what's the statute for driving while black? And I don't even know how much that fine is." And Nate looks at me, and his eyes are like, "I can't believe you're saying this." And the gentleman that we have with us is just looks at me like incredulously. He's like, and finally he's just like, "Just put me in the car, motherfucker." And then so we put him in the car, and then it was like after that, it was completely fine. We're joking back and forth, and that was one of those situations that could have gone sideways, but he was starting to get escalate. He was starting to ramp up his physical characteristics, and looking to maybe at least get some type of I don't know, something out of it. And so needless to say, he also had a daughter that was in the area, or had a daughter that was with him, but because he couldn't drive, we had to wait for people to come pick up his daughter. And when they finally showed up, we're like, "Okay, we've got your daughter taken care of." And from there, we took him over to jail and we booked him. But it was just kind of funny because when he tried to say, he's getting pulled over by driving while black. And I was able to call him on it, be like, "Come on, man, you got a warrant out for arrest. You're doing 45 in a 20 or 15 mile an hour zone. It's not because you're black, it's because you're speeding." Says, "The fact that you have a warrant, you shouldn't even be speeding for us to pull you over." That was one of those things where it's like, you know what? It's like, okay, yeah, I get you. I see what you're trying to say. But unfortunately, that's not the reason why we're pulling you over. We're pulling you over because you're speeding. Second, and finally, probably one of the more funnier ones. I shouldn't say funnier one, but one of the one of those where it definitely could have gone sideways on me. I had no idea where this was going to go, but we get sent to an argument between a man and a woman. He happens to be African American, and she happens to be white. And and the reason this comes in is because he's sitting there and he's like, "Yeah, Patricia, where's my phone charger?" And she's like, "I ain't got your phone charger, motherfucker. Go look for it." He's like, "That's bullshit, man. That's fucking gangster." I'm like, "Calm down, you guys. Just, take it easy." And she's like, "I don't have your fucking phone charger." And he's like, "All right." And he says, "But I'm telling you what," he says, "that's gangster, taking a man's phone charger like that." And I just kind of go, "Excuse me." And my partner who's on the other side is like, "Oh, Dave, please don't. Dave, please don't. Please don't, Dave, please." And he's like, "Yeah." Like, okay, I just need a little bit of clarification here. On a scale of gangsterdom or gangsterisms, with 1 being a dirty look and 10 being a drive-by shooting, where does not returning someone's phone charger rank on that? He's like, he's like, "I don't know, man. Like 3.5. And I said, okay, good. I said, I just, that's the first time I've heard of not returning a phone charger being gangster. And I said, I just want a clarification on it. So he kind of started laughing a little bit. So it just completely just de-escalated the situation. And, usually what happens is when we get sent on domestics, the males always think that they're going to jail. Fortunately, she was the instigator on this. It wasn't enough for a crime, so we didn't have the shall arrest that was in there, but it was enough to keep them separated. And I said to him, I said, dude, I said, if she comes back, I said, she's been warned not to come back here. If she comes back, do not engage with her. Come back. We'll take her for trespassing, disorderly conduct, and whatever else she's got going. He's like, hey, man, thanks a lot. And I said, no problem, man. So I went through it and, left the scene with my buddy. My buddy was like, I don't know how you get away with this stuff. I'm like, dude, it's all in a presentation, man. You got to do it in the presentation. So the point that these stories are, or the point that these episodes or incidents, whatever you would like to call them, you have to understand people are people. And the way you treat them is 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10 is the way that you're going to get treated back. So I said to him, I said, don't worry. I said, if she comes back, we'll hook her up and then we'll just come back and get your information. Well, we've already got your information, so don't worry about that, right? So if she comes back up, if she gives you a call, she starts harassing you again, give us a call. We'll hook her up for harassment and anything that's included with that. So again, it's all in the way that you treat people. It's all in the way that you have contact with people. And it's all in the fact that you want to go home at the end of your shift. So treat people nice.